through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The Diagnosis, a pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about the current situation and the problems that we have in Sri Lanka. Now, today we have a wonderful, a very gorgeous person with us, and that's none other than Miss Chani Imbulgoda. Hello and welcome, Miss Chani.
Hi. Hi, Micah.
Hi, and yes, before we start, I know you actually lit up the whole studio. You were very gorgeous. I need to tell that first.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, and you too.
Thank you so much, Miss Tani. So before we move on to the questions that we have, the real questions that we have, could you introduce yourself a bit to the listeners?
Yep. By profession, I'm a university administrator, holding a senior position in university administration, especially state university in Sri Lanka, University of the Visual and Performing Arts.
Oh.
And I have some experience in international organizations. SARC University, I worked from 2013 to 2014 in New Delhi. And right now I'm doing a PhD on quality assurance in higher education. So basically I'm an administrator plus a researcher and an author as well.
An author as well. That's something that I didn't know. But since you mentioned it, I think we should talk about it a bit.
Yeah.
So tell me about the author you.
Author, it came along with my PhD journey, I think, because I have been writing poems, short stories, but I was so shy to publish them. But then I had so many things in my mind that I'm a person who probes into things, who look at things and who try to analyze what is been happening and who see things sometimes beyond others see.
Which is
So
good.
I'm writing for papers and kind of thought-provoking ideas I'm putting up, and that's it.
That's actually very interesting to hear, Miss Chani, because I know that there are people out there who are actually shy to put out what they write.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, we should do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what happens unless you put it out. So I think that's something that I got to know right now about you being an author, and I'm pretty sure that you're doing amazing at that as well, like everything else do you do. And I would
Hope
love
so.
to listen to read your work as well. Do share me, then we can read them, and I can share it with our audiences as well. So make sure
Sure.
that you stay in touch with us. Before we move on, I want to quickly remind you guys to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Relax Radio, because that way we can stay connected. You and I, we can have a great time together, because Relax Radio is all about a positivity. Now, that being said, diving into the real questions, Miss Chani. Now, to start off, I want to ask you, for the years that you've been in this position as an administrator for the education sector, what kind of experiences, what kind of memorable experiences have you had?
When I talk about my experience, I would like to say it's people and systems.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, because you cannot do anything without people, and you talk a lot about the systems. People are the key to anything. So my experience altogether, when I talk about the higher education sector, especially the university system, we have to work with the academia, top management, and the students and support staff and executives. So people come in from various vistas of life. They hold different ideologies, they hold different attitudes, and they are very reluctant to change sometimes because they are holding very firm ideologies. So you have to work with people, you have to understand their mindset, and it's quite challenging. And the other thing is systems. People hail systems. Right now, you know that Aragale we want system change. But when there is a system change, people try to bend the rules, bend the system, or break the system, or just ignore the system.
Yes.
So I was, during my not so long experience, about 18 years, I have experience in my university sector and the private sector as well. I forgot to tell you, I have experience in the private sector as well. I was mingling with people and systems. I was trying to institutionalize system, and I was facing difficulties in doing that. But I like it. I enjoy it.
And that's, I think, the nice part when you are coming to, your work, because you enjoy what you do, and that makes
Yeah.
it all the worthwhile. So you said that you had many obstacles as well. Now, what are, like, the specific shortcomings that you had to face in this specific field? And also, given the current situation in Sri Lanka, what kind of shortcomings have you faced?
Current situation, it's really alarming.
Yeah.
You cannot compare the current situation with past experience because this is something new. We are going for new normalcy and getting again normal, and again we are starting a new normalcy. So
List keeps on going.
keeps on going. Yeah, the shortcomings are now. In fact, we are facing challenges in mental situation, psychological breakdowns, because we are no longer we are holding our own way lifestyles. We have to change the way we are commuting to the workplace, the way we are working, the way we are meeting people. Now in the university system we had to shift to the online teaching and online learning. Now there are power cuts.
Oh, yes.
We cannot have it, and online meetings, and it's not very effective unlike in-person meetings. So these are the shortcomings. And in your day-to-day life also you have to forego your leisure activities. You cannot go to the gym, you cannot go to your walking path, you miss everything. And there are so many shortcomings, but the thing is that you have to be strong. You have to be firm in your mind, and you have to face it, and you have to have the resilience. You have to bounce back. I think I have answered your question.
You
Hope so.
did exactly, Miss Chani. I think this is a very hard time for each and everyone. No matter what status, what social status you are in, it is actually a very hard time. Now, talking about the education and the shortcomings that you mentioned, that we have to limit everything for online education, and that too is not possible right now because of the power cuts that we experience. Now, going back in the years, how was your education? How, I mean, it was, I believe that it was not like this. You didn't have any, you didn't have to go through this kind of matters back then. What was your education like?
Sometimes I feel the world is moving backwards. If I start with my childhood, my primary education, it was quite like this because that time we didn't have electricity.
Oh.
So we had to use, I do not know whether you know that kupilampu,
Oh,
the
yes, I
lamps
know.
and the candlesticks. More than the candlesticks, we depend on the kupilampu and the lamp. So that's how we started. And we did not have computers or laptops. There was no such technology, no internet, but we studied hard. And then primary education, and then I moved to secondary education, and then the tertiary education. Um, I think we didn't have to face this much of challenges, but at the same time, we were taught very well, and we followed a bit hard way. We had to be in the library.
Yes.
We had to listen to our teachers. We had to study hard. There were no short ways to get marks and get good results.
And I believe that you didn't have, back then, you didn't have tuition classes and such as well.
We had tuition classes, but not like this.
Not like
Now I know these kids, very young kids, who are even my brother-in-law's child. When she was just in grade 1, she was going for English classes plus classes for scholarship. Unimaginable. I started my first tuition class when I was doing O levels. That's only for mathematics.
Because mathematics is very hard. Let's say that, because even I find it very hard with mathematics, and even I had to go to tuition classes for that. But then, as you said, Miss Chani, that is very true, because people now, especially the parents, they get their children to go to tuition classes from very young ages, even from the primary ages, like even when they're in the nursery itself, they stay, there are elocution classes, there are drum classes. I mean, those are good, but then still you are, in a way, exhausting your child, right? Now, what is
Exactly.
your whole perspective on that? I know that this is not going in order, but then since we talked about it,
Yeah.
what's your whole perspective on that?
It's good to get educated. It's good to get educated, but I don't think that kids should be sent to classes. Now, for example, we are talking about homeschooling now, which is a novel concept. But why can't parents do that at home?
Exactly.
Why can't they just let the child to come up with their own talents?
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mother and father, they never asked me to do anything. I was writing, I was drawing, I was dancing. It was
You're
free.
free, yes.
And now you know that Finland, they don't have that kind of formal education for school children. They have schools, but they are not very strict like ours. I think we have to give freedom to children, let them to choose their own path, and let them to enjoy the childhood, play with the others.
I think that is something that we should really stress on and let parents know. Now, before we move on to talking about your this topic for the day, which is education, one last question about you, and that is about your education again. How did you, feel like, the education that you're having right now and the career that you are having right now? Was this the career that you always wanted? Or
No.
just it like, it happened automatically?
Yeah, it happened accidentally. I must say.
Accidentally. How accidentally?
After my graduation, in fact, I did not have any idea of what I'm going to be.
A plan.
To tell you the truth, I'm going to disclose a secret in public. I always wanted to be a housewife.
Which is great.
And then, these passions are evolving over the time. I did my levels good, well, and then I was selected for a state university, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. And I started doing public administration in management field. And then again, I got a class, and then I joined a private sector organization, a merchant bank, and then there I worked. And then I was thinking about a career change, and accidentally I saw a paper advertisement calling assistant registrar for a university, and then I applied, got selected. So it was automatically it happened, and it was an accident, I must say.
But then the thing is, do you regret this decision that you made, the accidental decision that you made?
Never.
You like it?
I like it. It is not. It is not that I love it and I want to do it, but at the time it was a good choice, and I did. I'm doing my best. I did my best, and I enjoy. And being in the higher education sector, we can do a lot. We can do a lot for the society, for the students.
So now
for the
you feel
community.
very content that you are in this sector, doing a responsibility, changing people's lives, changing the future of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it does not come with the career only. It's something come within your personality.
Exactly, Mrs. Chani. Now coming into the more serious questions. Now, do you think that do you feel as if the current education system that we have in Sri Lanka, does it fully prepare the children for the needs of the 21st century?
No. No, it's
I'm
not
sorry, but I
fully
kind of
preparing.
find it funny in a way, because we all know that it's not the truth. I mean, like, it doesn't prepare children for their future needs, but still we keep on, following that and aligning with that. Now, why do you think that this is not the correct system of education that the children need?
This is not the correct system, because you know that we are not keeping up with the world.
Exactly.
In fact, what we are practicing right now is what the West has practiced some years back. For example, in the university sector, we are more focusing on the STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But now the West is focusing on STEAM subjects. They have included the arts, STEAM,
Yes.
but we have excluded the arts in us, and we are following what the West has given us some years back. So this is one thing. And coming back to your question, the thing is that we are more framed, and we try to frame the minds of the students, and we are filling something to these framed minds. Now the 21st century requirements are critical thinking, communication, and information literacy, media literacy. But how many of us really have that? So I think that the current education system is not doing its best. They are trying, but we need lots of improvements.
I actually agree with you, Mrs. Chani, like 100% agree with you. Now, you being in the education sector, administration sector of higher education, what is your role of changing this? How can you change this? I mean, is there a possibility? If so, how?
Yes, there is a possibility. There's a possibility to change. That's you have to be a role model. First of all, you have to be a role model. Now, we are handling the staff, the basically the non-academic support staff of the university. We have to guide them. We have to show what to do and how to do. And the students are coming to get service from us. So we have to guide them. They are coming for counseling. They are coming with certain grievances. We have to address them. And on the other hand, the academic community. We have to make them feel comfortable in this environment. I'm talking as an administrator. But if the academics are coming always with the grievances and they are burning with their grievances, how can they work?
Exactly.
We have to support them because their main role is teaching and doing research
Yeah.
and industry collaboration. So management has a very strong role to make their lives better, and then they can make the lives of the students better
Exactly.
and the lives of the community better.
Exactly. So it all starts. I mean, you have a huge responsibility in that aspect, I believe.
Yes,
It
we
all
all
starts
have.
from
Yes.
exactly. So, and that, as you said, the last line you said, if you make their lives better, they make the other lives better. So
Yes.
eventually, the community gets better. That is very true, Mrs. Chani. Now, when we're talking about education, a sector that we cannot forget is the teachers. I mean, the teachers. They are doing their best. We know that. But is it just teaching? Is it the responsibility of the teacher? Is it just teaching, or is it something beyond that?
It is teaching and it is something beyond that also.
A bit confusing.
Yes, it is teaching. They have to teach, but not only the subject. What's really happened is that even teachers are not, I'm not saying they are not qualified, they are having paper qualifications, but I have a doubt whether they are really equipped with the things that is needed to frame the minds of the children, develop them to become better human beings. So teachers should, as I said earlier, the 21st century's requirements, critical thinking. How many of us are teaching the students to be critical thinkers?
Exactly.
We make them silent at the classroom.
Yeah.
If they come on arguing, you say, don't argue. This is it. This is what theory calls. So you don't have a right to argue. No, it's not that. If we take the Buddhist philosophy, Lord Buddha has asked to criticize, question, but
Yes.
that is not happening. Not all. There are exceptions. There are
yes.
exceptions, but when you talk about the school education and even sometimes in the universities, these things are happening. So
Yeah.
teachers have a right. Teachers have to educate themselves. Teachers have to be open to the world, and they have to teach the students how to see the world and how to love the world. The empathy is not there right now in the youngsters.
And that is something that is needed right now in
Yes,
society.
yes.
And I really agree with you, Ms. Chani, when you say that the teachers, they teach the subject. Now I really understand what you said. They're supposed to teach, and also it's something beyond that as well.
Mhm.
And I think I've experienced, I think we all have experienced that teachers, shutting us down when we start to, build up our own criticism and ask questions from them. And that is not what is needed. But are they taught, the teachers, are they taught to, shut them down from they're obviously getting the training somewhere. So are they asked to shut the children down when they raise a question which is out of the book?
No. You shut the other people down. Why do you shut? Because you don't have that knowledge to answer the question.
Exactly.
You feel challenged.
Mhm.
I told you, that there are firm ideologies. People do not like to get their ideologies challenged, so they say, no, this is what is. Yeah.
Now that actually should be changed here in Sri Lanka, I
Yes.
believe. Now, if that is to change, I believe that we have to, get on with a massive revolution to change that. Because right now, Sri Lanka, when you take it, the education system in Sri Lanka, and especially the teachers, even our parents actually teach us to not to keep on arguing with the teachers. I mean, if they say something, you take the advice, and then you shut down. That's what our parents teach us as well, because you're always supposed to respect the teacher because he or she is elder than you. And that I completely agree. But if we have a question, if we have a controversial question that beyond the book, out of the box, I think they're supposed to answer us. And that is why I believe that teachers are supposed to teach us more than what is in the book, as you said. They're supposed to teach us how to go on with this life, how to do this life thing.
Exactly.
Now, how exactly is your sector, the administration sector, advising the teachers to do their job like this?
Yeah, administrative sector, in fact, we are not going to advise them
Oh.
because in the university, it's a different sector. There are academic administrators, but we are there to show them, guide them. This is how things are happening. And I must say, there is no guide or no rule or no regulation telling teachers not to answer the questions of the students. They always encourage. You know that we are having a quality assurance. I told you that I'm doing a research on the quality
Yes.
assurance in higher education. The quality assurance system also encourages inclusive learning, and
Which is needed right
which
now.
is needed right now. And we take feedback of students how the teachers are teaching. But
Oh.
yes, we do that, and the peer evaluation also. And we always encourage teachers to let the students come up with arguments. On the other hand, these days students are a bit reluctant to talk. I'm not sure whether it is coming from their home front or the schooling system. They feel ashamed to talk to the teachers and argue with them on subject matters,
On
not on the others. The other things, I think we are the new generation is arguing more than enough on the other matters, but
I agree.
but they forget to argue about the subject matter
Subject
sometimes.
matters,
That is also a weak point in the higher education sector. We all must work together to get them on board.
Exactly, Miss Shani. Now, I agree with you in that point because they have to raise problems from the subject matters, obviously, because that's why you go to school to learn. Now, when we talk about schools and learning, one of the most things that we are afraid of are examinations, this test. Now, do you think that the standardized testing that we have, the exams that we have, is that the proper way to judge one's learning, judge how good they learned, how good they performed? Is that the way?
Not at all. Not at all. Standardized testing, the origin of it is that when there are vast number of people to select for a specific position or select them among a large population, we don't have any other way.
Yeah.
We cannot have individual assessments or group assessments. So we have to have a standardized testing, but we cannot judge the intellectual capacity of a person with that.
Exactly.
Sometimes the highly intellectual people, they cannot show their performance within just 1 hour, 2 hours time. They need
Yes.
time. And sometimes they would come up with new arguments, new thoughts, but these things will not be there in the marking scheme.
Yeah.
So they will not get the marks. So standardized testing, no, it's not a good way to select intellectuals.
Yes, I think I can agree to that on another level because I have personally, not firsthand, but then experienced such issues as well when I was schooling. So, like, children would be like, my friends would be like, teacher, this question, this answer goes well with that. Why is not that in the answer scheme, the marking sector? And then the teachers, they're speechless at that moment because they are supposed to give marks relating to the marking scheme, so they're actually speechless. But then they do understand that the thing the student said is also correct. Now, I don't know how to come up with a solution for that, but then I think we really need to work on that as well.
Indeed.
So now I know that I said that we are done with the personal questions, but since we talked about education and everything, what was your favorite childhood memory, related to education? Something that you cannot forget.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm pretty sure that there are a lot.
There are a lot, but
Maybe
when
like
you talk
one?
about the childhood experience, this is not a very positive experience, but I can remember.
Maybe because it was not a positive experience, you can remember. it very
Yes,
well.
I can remember when I was in grade 1, I draw a beautiful bird. I draw it by myself. Otherwise, I would not remember it. I draw it and I showed it to my teacher. And then she never believed that I did it.
It was that good.
Yes, it was that good. And she called my mother to come and questioned her. Then she had to say, no, it was her. She was saying, my teacher was saying, no, it's your mother must have done that. My God. I called my mother and she explained, but these things are really, really like demotivating the kid,
Yes.
no? That you are not recognizing the talent, rather you think that it's someone else's production.
It's just because you're not used to seeing a grade 1 kid draw very well doesn't
Yeah.
mean that he or she can't draw very well, right? And I think that is also another aspect that should be changed here in Sri Lanka.
Yes, yes.
Identify the talent
Talents.
of the youngsters.
Yes. Because you know that at that young age, if you demotivate, they will just shut down.
Exactly.
Some people, because if they have a strong personality, they will grow, but otherwise they will just shut down and be silent.
That is actually very, very true, Ms. Chani. Now, since we talk about school,
Yeah.
is schooling a necessity for one to be educated? Should someone go to school just to get the education?
To get the education, no, people do not have to go to school. But we cannot leave out school, informal education at schools, because you know that earlier people like great genius people like Albert Einstein, Benjamin Franklin, they haven't got formal schooling much, formal school education, but they were genius, and we
Exactly.
still talk about them.
We learn from them.
We learn from them, but there are exceptions. And the concept of education is to have equal access to all. So education is a necessity, that they have to go to formal schools and get the formal education, because that foundation work is very important for a
Yes.
kid to develop their cognitive skills, plus their communication skills and collaborations with the others. We can keep the child home and educate he or she, but when they go to the society, they will face challenges. They will face challenges, and they will not be able to face the problems coming from outside.
Exactly.
The formal education, this is what we should teach students at schools. But regrettably, that's not happening right
That
now.
is not
I
happening.
think everyone try to put them lots of theories, lots of assignments. That's not the way.
That is not the way, exactly. Now, since we talked about formal education, Ms. Chani, what is your perspective on homeschooling?
Homeschooling, it's a novel concept. Not really novel concept. It is now we are
In Sri Lanka. it
in
is
Sri
in a way.
Lanka in a way, and we talk, I think, with this COVID pandemic
yes.
and with this current crisis, we talk about homeschooling very much. And I saw some Facebook pages also on homeschooling.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
This is a concept which came from medieval history, and even in 1960s and 70s, this was with the industrialization of the education system. People were criticizing industrialized education, and they promoted homeschooling. And earlier, to keep the women inside,
Oh.
there was this homeschooling. It is good. It is good to have homeschooling, but at the same time, you can send your child to school as well. Why don't parents do homeschooling? Educate them, teach them new things,
Oh, yes.
tell them stories, tell them about the lives, tell them about heroic stories, the history, the religions, and how to be a beautiful person within. It's not like you should not keep the person inside the house and teach them everything there. You
Yeah.
can send the child to school as well as do the homeschooling. I'm not sure whether I have answered your question very well.
You did actually. Now, which actually led me to ask another question. What are like the pros and cons that you see in homeschooling?
Pros are there's no boundary.
Yes.
And sometimes one thing that parents say is that there is bullying at schools. Sometimes teachers, together with other children, do bullying. It's not
We've
good.
heard stories like that.
It's not good. And again, that framed education system, some parents do not like, especially the free thinkers. They like their children to learn a lot of things and be free. So that's a good concept. There are a lot of advantages, and especially in this situation when there is COVID
Exactly,
pandemic
yes.
and your commuting is restricted, you cannot go out, and there are viruses spreading. So there are pros. The cons are, when you are when you are taught at home, as I said earlier, you cannot go and mingle with the society easily. Because, as kids, we used to play with the others, we used to do sports, and we experienced defeat, no? No. How many suicidal cases are there now in Sri Lanka, which is very pathetic and very alarming?
Jeez.
And the cons is that
Especially suicide cases related to education.
education and children and the addiction to the smartphone.
Exactly.
When they are doing homeschooling, you cannot take this child out from the smartphone or the laptop, no?
Yeah.
Because there is no control, and it's not good for their physical abilities also, no?
Exactly.
They will fall sick in the long run, mentally as physically. So there are both sides. I believe homeschooling is good. Parents should do that, but not the subjects that is taught at the schools. They should send their kids to schools, formal schools, but they can definitely cut off the tuition classes.
They should. They should.
What are we doing? We send the child from 7:30 to 1:30 at the school, and then you send the child until midnight to tuition classes. So
Trust me, I know how it works.
yeah, so it's not the way. Parents, please don't do that. You can save money and you can do homeschooling.
Exactly,
You can teach your children yourselves.
And then you create a bond with the children as well. That's a very nice way to create a bond with the children. Now we have lots to talk about, Mr. Ani. This is getting more interesting and interesting. But before that, we have to head into a short commercial break. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio. Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.
Hello and welcome back. You are right back joining with the Diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about anything and everything, especially the problems that we have in Sri Lanka at the moment. Now, before we move on, I want to quickly remind you guys, as always, to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. And do not forget to download the Relax Radio app because it's available on both iOS and Android devices for free download. Yes, you heard me right. So go on and download the Relax Radio app and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel because that way you can be notified about what we have in stock for you guys. And also, reminding you guys, if you need positivity, if you're feeling down, you know what to do. Tune in to Relax Radio because Relax Radio, as I always say, is about positivity. We want your lives to be brimmed with a positivity, and that is why we have Mrs. Chani Imbulgada with us today. Right, again, you see this face, it's a face of positivity, trust me. And you should definitely meet her in real, in person, and you'll see the vibrant, the aura she creates. It's actually very how can I say that, very attractive and very charming.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Now, we were actually talking about a very how can I say, a very alluring topic, which is homeschooling and parents and tuition. Now, we were talking about tuition, and I know that your perspective on tuition right now, I know it's like a complete no from you. Do not let the students go to tuition. Now, coming back to homeschooling. Now, we've heard stories about, even the parents themselves telling that homeschooling is actually far better than, sending their children to the school to get formal education. Now, why do you think this was created? Was it because at schools, they get bullied, because they're like, teachers give children like a lot of work, tons of work to do when it comes to homework and assignments? Is it because of this that do they like, the parents believe that homeschooling is better? Is it because of that?
Mm, there are multiple reasons. One is that the way the schools are teaching students, a lot of homework, no freedom.
Exactly.
They have to come and they have to do all the schoolwork at
Yeah.
home, no time to play. So that's one reason. And the subjects are very limited. You
It is.
cannot learn whatever the subject you like to. But there are specific subjects you have to go along with it. So you are like framed. You are
Framed once again. Yes.
That is there. And the other thing is that parents, as I said earlier as well, parents are free thinkers. They like to be free. They like their children to be free. And sometimes parents are extensive travelers. They have to move from one country to another and one
Oh,
location
yes.
to another. So they cannot send their children to schools at one location.
And the other happens as well because sometimes the parents want them to get the children to get a formal education, going to school because they have work to do. They're
Yeah.
very busy. They have very busy schedule, so
That
they
is
don't
also there.
get the time to stay at home. So they want to send their child to
That is
school,
also there. That is
which
also.
is bad in a way, I guess.
Yes, but there is no way also sometimes.
Exactly.
When both parents are working. Now, I know that when the kid is just 1 year or 2 years old, they are sent away.
Yeah.
That is happening.
For
That is
what we call the daycare centers and
Yes.
everything.
And the other thing is homeschooling. Now it has become a little kind of a fashion.
A trend,
A
kind of.
trend.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to say, most of the Sri Lankans don't analyze things. They just follow what the other person is doing. And if a very popular person or very radical person is promoting something, okay, all right, they will go.
That is actually, I think, very true, Ms. Chani. Like, one of the truest thing about Sri Lankans is that they tend to follow whatever. If a famous person, as you said, is following that, they're going to follow it.
Yeah.
And I think
It's dangerous.
the education that they had to play a role in that, because they are not, as you said, they're not thinking critically.
Exactly.
And it all comes, comes as, missing pieces, and it all fits perfectly now. So ultimately, everything is, because of the education that one person got.
Yes. Yes.
Now, obviously, we can't expect, the education system to change drastically within, a couple of months or a couple of years. It's obviously going to take time. Now, what are your, if you can suggest any suggestions for the education system to change, what are they? Do you have any suggestions? Like, we have to start from here. What do you think?
We have to start from home.
Once again, yes.
Once again, family, that's the root, because parents are also pressurizing teachers and schools. And when there are government reforms also, parents are criticizing. They want exams. Recently also, when the exams are halted, they were asking for exams,
The parents are asking for the exams, but not the children.
not the children. That is also there. So the reforms should start from home, that people should do that. When we take the formal schooling, that it should be the primary level. And we have to include, I told you about the STEAM
Yes.
art subjects, and I told you about the 21st century's requirements, critical thinking, compassionate people develop their moral compass. We are losing morality
Exactly, yes.
in a
Which is-
great manner. It's not good. So we have to infuse these things to the curriculum. And from the childhood, the early stages of schooling, they should give free time. They should give more free time to come up with their own talents and be free, be empathetic, go to the environment and enjoy the environment, appreciate what is
Exactly,
happening.
yes.
And they should be taught about the moral things. Then slowly they should go. And it should not be a competition. Education should not be a competition.
Competition.
Now we are training our kids to be to compete with the others,
I know.
and the parents are competing more than the children, and sometimes
Exactly,
teachers
yes.
are competing with the teachers of other classes as
I
well.
know, yes.
So, and the school education, that should be transformed, and we should leave little space for tuition. If people will
Necessary
not,
only.
yeah, if necessary, and people will not opt for tuition classes if the teachers are doing the right thing. So we have to train the teachers also.
Mhm.
Really speaking, what we produce, whom we produce as graduates, are going to these positions, no
Yes,
teachers.
yes.
And so it's a process. You say that garbage in, garbage out, but we have to recycle. Even if
Exactly.
there's garbage we are taking in, I'm not downgrading anyone,
Yeah,
but I'm just taking an example. We have to recycle, and we have to recycle and produce clean water.
Yes.
So then only they can be good teachers, be good educators, be good policymakers, and then that will go down to primary level. So it's a process, and we need changes in every aspect of the education. I cannot just say what are the changes,
Yeah.
but we have to have the morality included. I will share you an experience recently. I'm not against it or I'm not for it. That recent Aragale also, I see lot of academia, lot of teachers take the school small kids for this Aragale, and they are trying to teach hatred. Whatever the reason, we cannot use children.
Exactly. We cannot use
We
children.
cannot use children. And what are you communicating to them? Hatred? It's not what we want. We want love.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, if a child goes to the Aragale all by themselves, that is okay, I guess. But teachers taking children to the Aragale, that too, I believe that it happened when, during the school time. And that is actually, that cannot be considered as a whole teacherly thing to do. Now, since we talked about, the STEAM subject and, creating more freedom for the students here in Sri Lanka. Now, I believe that, in order for a person to become more free and more of themselves, we do really need subjects like that, to awoken their creativity side, because it always doesn't depend on the education side where you learn something and you answer and exam and write papers, and it's not just that, it's way beyond that, because everyone can't be doctors.
Yeah.
We need musicians, we need dancers, and we need cooks. So which is why I believe that we need subjects, a variety of subjects, as you said, Miss Tani. I think we definitely do need that. Now, since we talked about children and that we need more compassion and love build, starting from this education system, what do you think about mental health and the education sector in Sri Lanka? Do they stand alone together?
There's a close relationship between mental
Health and
health and education, but they stand apart.
In
They
Sri
are
Lanka.
not just blending, because education right now, education creates a lot of mental health issues.
It does.
So we have to think about these things. As I said earlier, the teaching them moral values, teaching them how to be empathetic, teaching them how to be resilient, how to how to bounce back, how to work with the others, how to love others. Those things should be there. Just we should not teach children to be robotics. They should not be machines. We are going for that fourth industrial revolution and artificial intelligence. We are talking about robotics. There are robotics to perform those tasks, technical tasks.
Yes.
But we need more human beings.
Exactly, yes.
So human beings, when we try to treat them as machines, they will come up with various mental problems.
Yes.
That is there.
That is actually, Miss Chani. I think, especially when we talk about the examinations that we have, the ordinary level examination and the advanced level examinations, we see tons of suicide cases just because they fail and they are not, they're not strong enough to take in defeat. When they hear the news that they've failed the exam, they just see the only option, and that is to get themselves, suicide. Now, what do you think about that? Where did we go wrong to come to such an extent that where children suicide themselves just because they failed another exam? They're not even thinking of the second try or anything. They just completely go for the option, which is it's not even an option. They just completely go and suicide themselves. Where did we go wrong? Why did this happen?
Because of the competition. And we are demanding them a lot. As parents, we have a huge responsibility. As teachers, we have a huge responsibility. We should not train students to win exams.
Exactly.
Even failure, failure is first attempt in learning.
It is.
We have to take it as it is. Even you fail, you have another time, and you will have another avenue.
Yes, exactly.
I know one of the vice chancellors in our university system. He had first done bioscience. He failed. Second try also he had done bioscience. Failed. Then he opted for art subjects, dance, and then he got into the university. And finally he became a professor, senior professor, and finally vice chancellor. A leading
Sometimes.
figure. So that's life. You have to take these opportunities. You should not treat the failure as the end of your life. And Thomas Alva Edison, when he was producing the light,
Yes. He failed.
he failed. I heard about 999 times.
Yeah, he
I'm not sure
failed.
whether it is a fact, but that is a thing. But he continued trying. And I have also experienced failures. But I'm trying my best. So this has to be there. And parents should not, because children, when they are at 16, 17 years of age, they cannot make decisions.
Exactly.
They just go along with their temptations. And it is also has become a trend now. Facebook, you see that people are suiciding, others are sympathizing. So these things are happening.
Devastating to see that.
Devastating, yeah. So we should reduce what we are demanding from students.
Exactly.
Make them comfortable with as who they are. And exam is just a milestone. You can do something else.
Exactly.
The
'cause-
world will not end. And even the educated people now, all these professors are riding bicycles. So even without education, without passing exams, you can ride bicycle. Just take it simply. Don't
Exactly.
think about the world and the education and exams so seriously.
Exactly, Miss Shani. I think most of the time it's the parents who are like forcing the children that they need like not even like decent education. They need like high standardized education. They from small times itself they try to inculcate the idea that if we don't pass our exams, we don't have a life. That's especially here in Sri Lanka, the brown culture, I guess. they try to inculcate that idea. And I think parents should play a vital role when it comes to this sector specifically. Now, obviously, the parents' role in education and the children. What is your whole perspective on that? I know that we talked about it a lot, but what's your like direct perspective on parents, children, and education? Parents, I think they're the role models that we look into,
Yes.
especially the children,
Yes.
because parents are the ones that we deal with a lot, and they are first teachers. So how exactly should the parents, play this role, tackle with their children when it comes to education specifically?
They should be counselors. They should be guides. They should be mentors. They should not be teachers. And they should not be administrators who will punish their children, who will teach their children. I had wonderful parents. Both of them are no longer in this world, but I had wonderful parents. They always taught us the importance of education. They were showing us the way. They were telling us, if you want to have a better profession, a better career, you have to learn well. You have to study hard. But they never asked what to study or how to study.
Exactly.
They were never going to the schools, even very rarely they were coming to the school. They were not like following us now present day parents. More than the children, they are going to school.
Exactly,
And they are
yes.
attending classes and they are learning, I think, more than the students. And they are preparing lecture notes, short notes, and
They should be given another certificate for the commitment.
exactly. This is not the role of the parent.
Exactly, yes.
They should be counselors. They should be parents. They should be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Discuss what is happening, and they should always show there is a good education. You have to be educated, and when the child is not indecisive, you can show them what is to be done and how to do, but don't force them. Don't be there with them all the time, showing what to do and how to do, and don't stress them. Let them be free and let them learn. Then we can have a better education system, and even teachers will be quite free, because
Yeah.
teachers are getting also pressurized. I'm talking about the school education, so that has to be changed.
Exactly, Ms. Shani. Now, it is actually the most vital role when it comes to education and children comes to the parents, because they are first teachers. I mean, we learn from them. And now, letting their children do what they want, giving them the freedom of choice when it comes to subjects, that doesn't really happen in Sri Lanka most of the time, because I know some of my friends who do bio or mathematics for their A levels just because their parents want them to become an engineer or a doctor. Now that should not happen. I don't really know how we can change it, but then I believe that the parents are responsible, and the parents should, think for themselves and like, nah, I'm not gonna let my child, be framed to this. I'm gonna let her fly, let him or her fly. I think that should come from parents, and maybe we should, mm, do something like a workshop or something for the parents so that they would know what to do when it comes to their children and education. Now, keeping aside the parents, the next sector is the government. Now, what is the role of the government when it comes to education?
There's a big role. There's a big
It
role
is.
they have to perform, because formal education in Sri Lanka, especially, it is run by the government. It's free education what we are giving right now. So there should be clear policies, and these policies should be long term. You should not have ad hoc policies on education.
Exactly.
You have to think very critically and analyze the requirements of the world, changing needs of the world, and
Because you're building the future.
building a future, prepare the student to face the world and be a better performer, who will be capable of doing whatever the job they are getting in.
Yes.
So for that, government should develop better policies, and government should monitor whether these policies are really implemented at ground level.
Exactly.
We have all sort of cosmetic changes, and at very superficial level we are implementing the policies just to show, okay, we are abiding with the rules and regulations, but it is not at the ground level. No, government should ensure that the policies are being implemented, and government should get the feedback of the students and the parents. It's a collective responsibility. Government should allow you know why this, I'm talking about Aragale a lot, why this Aragale also happened, because government rejected or refused or ignored the general public, their needs. It should not happen in policy making. You should go to the ground level and always get the others, outsiders, not only a selected few who will always use the same ingredients to make the soup. That is what is happening.
Yes,
Even in
that
the
is-
education sector. So you have to get the young blood, radical thinkers, free thinkers, all the professors who are retired, all these things, and the industry. And you have to blend them together and get the best.
Exactly. I completely 100% agree with you, Ms. Shani, on that. Now, not really education related, but will you ever consider becoming a politician?
I will consider now.
You do consider becoming a politician. I think that would be a nice venture for you, becoming a politician for you. I'm pretty sure that most of the people would listen to you.
Thank you
And
so
also
much.
I mean, it's not just the words that you speak, you also put them into action. So I think that would be nice of you to consider becoming a politician.
Thank you.
Now-
But I must protect my houses then. I don't want
Especially
to
with the
burn
current
all my
situation.
things. Right.
One question is, why do you consider to becoming a politician?
If I choose to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we cannot leave out politicians. Politicians are there because you know that although we talk about politics and we don't want politicians, we have to have the politicians
Exactly,
also.
yes.
That's a need. Really speaking, I am not considering to be a politician. Rather, I really like to be myself as a free thinker and free author.
But then don't you think
Yeah.
don't you think that it kind of is your responsibility, because now you have potential, you have ideas to change, you have potential, and don't you think that it is your responsibility if you can do your part by becoming a politician? Don't you think that it's your responsibility to become a politician and do that part?
Yeah, Amika, I don't think. I'm not sure in future I might become a politician. Now you have inspired me to be like that.
Okay.
And I might audience
Consider
I might
becoming a
consider
politician?
that. But at the same time, you don't have to be a politician, or you don't have to be a professor, or you don't have to be a teacher
To make a change.
to make a change. As an individual, you can always make changes. This is why I said that I am an author also, because certain things in my mind were boiling all the time. So I thought, okay, I will write what I'm feeling. So you have to be independent. You can be independent, and you can even a cleaner can teach something to the others.
Exactly. Yes.
It is not the position or the title or the power you get, but in our society, we always think about the power. You are waiting for something to be happen to do something. No, you don't have to wait. Because
But
you
don't you think that a power is needed in order to make change? You can obviously make change. You are making change right now, becoming, an administrator for higher education. But don't you think that if you go to such a standard where you have power to change what you want, that would be easier, right?
Yes, definitely. It would be easier because then many people, you have that authority.
Yes,
Then many
authority is
people would
there.
listen to you. That is there. But don't wait until you get the chance. Do whatever you can do right now.
Exactly.
And when you get the chance, do better.
Exactly. But that is something most of the politicians forget. When they get the chance, they forget to do better,
Yeah.
which is actually very sad to see.
Yeah.
But then, with that being said, we've actually come to the end of the program, Ms. Shani, which is very saddening because we've actually talking about education, and I believe that there's a lot more to talk about education. And I'm pretty sure we'll have to, invite you again to come here and do another
My
interview
pleasure.
with me.
My pleasure.
Now, before we wind things up, what do you think about the program, and do you have anything to say to your lovely, wonderful listeners?
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. And thank you so much, Micah.
Thank you.
Taking me on board, and thank you, the wonderful team, very young team. I can see all those, although the viewers can't see them. Very wonderful, very friendly atmosphere, and I'm really happy. And you're doing a marvelous job.
Thank
And
you.
this
so
is a need
much.
of the hour, and I really appreciate your attempt as young people, the new generation. This is a wonderful, and
Thank you
it's
so
a good
much.
opportunity for me also, because I didn't have to wait until I get power, so I could air my views. And I'm not sure whether I would be in threat now because she's asking me to come to politics.
I didn't
My
ask you
life
to.
is under threat now. Anyway, it's wonderful, and the audience, I think I shared my views, how I view. Do your best. Don't wait until the sun shines. Even when there are gloomy periods, you can do certain things, and you don't have to wait until a better future.
You have to create. The
You have to
better future.
create it. You should not think about past and dwell on it, and think about, be afraid of future, but do what you can do at present, learning from the past for a wonderful future. And I wish you all the best, and I hope the country would prosper very soon.
We all hope
We
that
all
will
hope,
happen.
and when we can really smile at the bottom of our hearts
Yes.
without any difficulty. And thank you so much.
Now, one last question, actually, Miss Rani. Now, I'm pretty sure that there are people out there, especially girls maybe, who want to be someone like you. Give them an advice, a life advice.
Be yourself. Don't try to be someone like don't try to be like someone, yes. Even like me. Because be yourself. We all have our own charisma. We all have our own glow. We have to polish it.
Excellent.
For that, you have to work hard, work well, and take care of yourself, and be confident. I think confidence, hard work, and always take care of yourself, physical, mental well-being. Those are the secrets of. Those are my secrets, and because of that,
just
I'm
disclosed your
like
secrets.
this. Yes.
Thank you so much, Miss Rani. Now we have actually come to the end of the program. So I would really like to take this moment to appreciate you, coming here. I know that you're a very busy person. So thank you for making time and coming in and sharing your knowledge with us. Because I learned a lot myself, and I'm pretty sure that the learners learned a lot as well. Now, that being said, we've come to the end of our program today for the day. And I know that we have to say goodbye to this lovely character here, Miss Chani Bulgoda, today. But then don't worry, I'm pretty sure that we'll have her on board for another interview because we have lots to talk about when it comes to education. Now, that being said, before we wind things up, I want to quickly remind you guys again to follow us on all our social media platforms, even Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. So make sure that you go and follow us on all our social media platforms. Don't forget to download the Relax Radio app because it's available on both iOS and Android devices. So make sure that you go and download it. And also, don't forget about the YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel of Relax Radio because that way we can stay connected and have a great time 24/7, 365. That being said, this is your host Mika Thompson signing off for the day in hope to meet you guys next week, same time, same day. Till then, take care.
Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The Diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.